So when I arrived, the crowd was already making this corner here, heading down L Street or down Capitol Mall towards the Capitol. If you've seen earlier, this Capitol Mall has been painted with the words Black Lives Matter, reminiscent of what we saw in Washington, D.C. and the mall on Here you go, big black letters written Black Lives Matter. Looks like it's actually burnt in some cases here, so this may last beyond just this little dimming, or beyond just the paint. So we'll see how long this lasts. It was approved, I understand, by Councilman Steve Hansen. Here we are again in Sacramento, California. You see the Capitol building ahead of us. We are facing east, away from the Sacramento River, and this massive protest here is heading towards the Capitol. It started at the Golden One Center, the Sacramento Kings Arena, and is moving towards the Capitol now, and I believe we'll head back to Cesar Chavez. Like the earlier protest, this protest is very young in general, but there are for you older people here today. Lots of people wearing masks, but very multicultural. How you doing? Hey, what's going on? Good to see you. All right. Yeah, I am. You're listening to Ed Fletcher or News Fletch on Twitter. On Instagram, I'm Perpetual F, and again, we're here in Sacramento, California, watching this Black Lives Matter protest. I am on rollerblades, excuse my unsteadiness, and we'll be along for the ride here. You can see the light rail train being held up by the protest now as it compresses and moves down the street here. George Floyd is the name you will hear the most as protesters call out for justice, but there will be other names you'll hear, and as you hear them, I would invite you to play along, and if you can post how they died or stories related to them, that will help people that are just now coming to this issue or maybe need to jog their memory about maybe Joseph Mann or Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor. if you're just now coming to this issue, George Floyd is just the latest example to what many people see as a string of law enforcement killings that were not justified. And outcomes they see are unequal for African Americans.
No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! No peace! No justice! 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 No peace!
Thank you all for watching this wherever you are. Please like and share this post. That helps other people see it and get the message.
George Floyd! 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 George Floyd!
Where do you think the guy
All right, so we were experimenting here. We've added my friend Peter Fallon, who is in upstate New York, I believe. Upstate New York has had its own issues, and Buffalo was the site of that police incident there. That a lot of issues. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, I'm in Albany actually, and not probably about 3 or 4 miles from me is looting. The area that I live in is actually a very wealthy area, and within 2 miles of my house is the poorest area around. I've gone down into the protest area myself to survey the situation. It's been peaceful, but 3 or 4 nights ago there was lots of cars burning and so forth, just like everywhere else around the country. So that's what's happening here. It'd be interesting if you could get some interviews with the people actually marching there.
Hey, Peter, I appreciate your comments. I hope everybody is hearing your words well. I can't hear it well. I'll probably need a headset if we're going to try to do this. Obviously, there's thousands of people around me cheering and chanting for those who lost their lives at the hands of police actions. I appreciate your willingness to talk about the issues and what you're doing up there. Again, I can't hear you, so I can't really say anything of substance, but I appreciate you, buddy. And this fight is worldwide now. It started out in Minneapolis in response to one person, but we're speaking about a much broader issue of discrimination that is rooted in America, but is global in scope.
So true. I'm going to tune out and let you take over, Ed. Hopefully you can get some interviews there. Okay?
Okay. Thanks a lot, Peter.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. All right, that was Peter Fallon in Albany, New York. We're in Sacramento, California, where thousands of protesters are circling the Capitol in a Justice for George protest. I haven't seen the whole scope of the crowd yet, but I'm guessing that this may be the largest one yet in Sacramento on this issue. If you saw yesterday, there were two protests yesterday. One at the mayor's house, probably 2,500 people there, and maybe thousands or more at Cesar Chavez Park. The protest at outside of the mayor's neighborhood was peaceful and highly symbolic, even if the mayor knew about it ahead of time and it was cleared by council people. It was still, I would say, a huge success for Black Lives Matter and trying to make a statement. We're now headed down 10th Street, downtown Sacramento. The Capitol is on our right, and protesters are headed north towards Cesar Chavez. As I pointed out earlier, there has been a de-escalation from law enforcement at the CHP level. Earlier, we had CHP that would be lining this fence here, and you'd have, they'd be nearly shoulder to shoulder in a show of force, and perhaps afraid that protesters would try to jump the fence or do something provocative. In the 7 days or so that this has been happening, that hasn't happened yet, and they have started to pull back those security officers, and in turn, it seems to have mellowed out the protesters. When they're right up against the fence, oh man, look at this. You can see that the end of this crowd hasn't even reached us yet. It's still looping around the other side of the building. I don't know if you can see that there. We'll get a better look. So I haven't yet to see the front of this, and you can see the end of it still streaming around the other side of the building. All right, so you heard Breonna Taylor. If you're playing along there, please post a link about Breonna Taylor. She would have been 27 yesterday, shot in her home by police with no justification and apparently without even declaring who they were. As many commentators have posted before, this movement is very different than other civil rights movements in that you did not see as many races involved in the 60s protests or in the 90s protests, which I participated, the Million Man March, which was purposely black. This one has involved you got young families here, you've got white people, you've got Hispanic people, Asians, LGBT community. You see lots of allies supporting this cause, and you see action by the government and corporations supporting this movement in a way that you hadn't seen before. After years of being, I would say, mistreated by the NFL players have found their voice and have forced the NFL commissioner to admit they were wrong for trying to silence protesters and to say the words "Black Lives Matter."
George Floyd! 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 Geor George Floyd!
We're now on K Street here. See a light rail truck or light rail train has been held up. There's more protest group that's all the way back still at the Golden One Center. Apparently this group should be headed that way. I will be interested to see aerial photos to see just how big this crowd is. Until I fall on my ass. See some of the art there that has come up on the walls as business owners after boarding their walls to defend themselves to turn those walls into art. It's a quote by Malcolm X here. I think Rafael Delgado, Sacramento artist, was involved with that one. We are now at Cesar Chavez Park, Sacramento, where this crowd has mushroomed. So my first or maybe second mistake was not bringing shoes with me. At some point I'm going to want to take these off, but so far so good on the rollerblades. We'll come around and head towards the stage. Got news trucks here. You've got food trucks here.
Yes, by law enforcement. I didn't have anyone to stand with me. But I'm standing today for those who have lost someone many years ago. Not only was he shot, he was dragged to the back door and laid in the back doorstep. I thank God today for those who have lost. Oh God. I know you see.
The stage is absolutely packed with people, and they've got security guards there. Much more organization than we've seen in some of the other earlier protest. This one was not organized by Black Lives Matter. It was organized by another coalition of people, including filmmaker Deon Taylor.
You can do it, baby.
So, as you can see, Cesar Chavez Park is absolutely packed with people here to support this Black Lives Matter protest, or racial justice protest, racial equality protest, whatever you want to call it. I have yet to see the full size and scope of the crowd, but it's heading towards 10,000 or more. I've been in the park where they've had concerts in the park here, and they've had their record crowds, and I think we will well exceed that. I might try to get a higher vantage point to see, and I might try to get my shoes back because we're running out of room here to roll on rollerblades. But I wanted to give you a look at what's happening here in Cesar Chavez Park as thousands of Sacramento area residents come together to demand justice for George Floyd and the litany of other black and brown people that have lost their lives at the hands of law enforcement in situations that didn't call for that much force. And I don't think anybody's saying, I'm not saying that all cops are bad. I'm saying that we need to address how we treat people in our criminal justice system and make our system more fair for all Americans. All right, thanks for watching. I'll be back up again later or show you some other content some other ways, but thanks for supporting. This is Ed Fletcher. I'm on Twitter at NewsFletch and Instagram at PerpetualF, and I'm also at Patreon if you want to support me doing independent journalism. Thank you.
What's up, Mr. Fletcher?
Hey.